Good morning. Hope you're all having a great start to your day. Today's Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. We're going to go ahead and get started, touch up on the overall market, go over our economic data, and get right into our main watch list. So, hope you guys are starting your day right, having a great start to Tuesday. Now, looking at the broader market, if you watch the S&P in American futures, we're actually rebounding after a very sharp lower close yesterday. If you guys saw what happened, huge pullback. The Dow opened up down about 600 points. We did actually see the Asian indices close in the red, and European session are rebounding as well. So we're looking real ahead on the overall. Now, touching up into this morning, crude oil is actually posting a rebound after it faced a massive drop as well. So keeping a look at everything is very, very critical regarding the before the bell and also the overall market outlook. Now, let's get a little bit more in basics on /ES and talk about the S&P 500. If you guys are watching right now, 4250 was a critical support prior. It's also a very critical support into this morning at 4250. Right now, we're 4261, so looking to pull back about give or take, again, 10 handles here to 4250. So take your time on the market if you're watching /ES. Under 4250, we pull back to 4225. If you guys remember, look at yesterday, you'll see we made a low at 4224, was bought right then and there. So that's a very important support to have. So note this down in your chart. If we take out that 4250 to the downside, we'll start revisiting 4240 and 4225 or 4224 where the low is actually made. And under 4224, we're not biased. We're going to go back to 4206, which is our key level and actually a very important key level that we had multiple times on /ES. Again, if we want to see some upside, wait till the break of that 4282 or 4283 for a clear push to 4300. Again, there's a slight gap. We'll touch up on that when we get there, but take your time on the market. Again, just seeing some slight uncertainty. Now, I just want to send you guys the economic calendar in the room as well, so you can have everything in the same spot. All right, so that's sent to you guys as we're speaking. Now, if you're watching again into this morning, nothing really going on. Again, commercial papers, selected interest rates. We don't have anything draining that's going on, and that's very important to keep a look for the economic calendar, future outlook for the economic calendar. Very important, especially that we did have the Fed speaking and whatnot. Into this morning, just housing starts and permits was at 8:30 a.m. And then we'll be looking at commercial paper and selected interest rates. If you go to the rest of the week, Wednesday, nothing's going on tomorrow. But when you come to Thursday, July 22nd, you start getting jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. and existing home sales at 10 and whatnot. So as we get closer to Thursday, we do have some economic data. But right now, I'm not going to drain you with that. So let's get right into our watch list. Again, /ES, 4250, primary support. If it breaks to the downside, it goes to 4240 and 4225. Or 4224. If it takes out the upside at 4280 or 4283, that three handles will push all the way back to 4282, and then it's going to push back to 4292, and potentially, if we start rallying, we'll start taking out that 4300, 4308 range. All right, so very, very important. Take your timeline out these levels. Now let's go a little bit more in depth, talk about what's going on our watch list into this morning. Let's touch up on some Amazon first. All right. So I'm going to send you guys the levels on Amazon. And again, if you're seeing Jeff Bezos, they're taking off into space right now. I send you guys the link in the trading floor so you can keep this on watch. But very important to know these levels. Take your time, break and hold, or play a bounce trade at either of those levels. As you can see, resistance is 35.55 or 35.54. Support is 35.25. All right. So very important to note this. We've been seeing rejection at that 35.55 right now. We're maybe a point over. As long as we can close over that range, I'm bullish to 35.70. We'll play that same retest from the pre-market. As you guys can see, it hit 35.70, rejected, and pulled back again to that primary resistance, aka it's using it as support right now. So if we can hold that 3.555, as you can see, 35.55, that's a nice ideal bounce zone. If it breaks under that, then it's going to be using that as a resistance. So take your time on it if that happens. As you can see, the moment we step under that 35.55, the range is huge to 35.25, but the break under 35.25 opens up. Let me just remove this, okay, here, because let me just reset something here for the levels for Amazon for you guys. Okay, cool. Because I have here, it notes a gap fill. That gap fill has happened already, right? But if you're watching the break to the downside, if it starts taking out that 35.25, has room to 35.15 and 3500. And again, we're not biased on Amazon. We saw it form a low of day yesterday at 34.99. So it's using prior key levels again. into the future charting, so you can actually take benefit of those support and resistance levels, or as we say, supply and demand levels. Now let's move a little bit beyond Amazon. Again, huge catalyst, Jeff Bezos in space, but we don't trade the news. Not biased on this. If this starts dumping that 35.55 and starts breaking to the downside, we'll start seeing that pullback, right? So I'm not biased on this if that happens. But take your time. Again, support is 35.25. That was resistance yesterday, so it will distribute between that range. But if it could close over 35.55, start playing the bounce to 35.70, and potentially we'll play it all the way to 3600 if we can rally, and 35.80 first stop, and then 3600 if we can continue with some momentum. Now let's move a little bit more in depth. I'll send you guys some Roku. Roku's also catching my interest into this morning. Let me just send you the level so you can see what I'm seeing. Again, Roku 410, guys. Look at that overhead resistance at 410. Take your time on that. I'm not trading the range in between that 410 and 402. As you guys can see, that distribution range a little ugly. You can see a lot of choppiness in between that range. But if this actually breaks and holds over that 410, that's an ideal trade. Right now in the pre-market session, we're watching a half-point rejection. And again, you got to keep a look. If most of the market's not pushing /ES is rejecting at the open, and watching most of the indices, I'm not going to go take on a break and hold setup. I actually trade a bounce setup more ideal to take out a break and hold setup, just because confirmation continuation when you're already having news or you're having a rebound on the market, not the most ideal sometimes. So again, just seeing 409 or 410 range on Roku. If it pulls back and can't hold here, that's fine. We'll start watching a better bounce at 402 if this pulls back at 410 and rejects. But if it takes out that 410, and I know momentum, I know Roku can trade as a momentum stock. If it takes it out, that's totally fine. All right. So watch for the overhead resistance, room to 415 potentially, and 420. That's almost 10-point range. You don't need the whole 10-point range at one time. Take your time, 5 and 5. Potentially lock in half position when you get to the first target. If you are in the trade, and always consider triple R risk reward ratio at all times. But if Roku sets up with some momentum looking to take this on, it's also been beat down on the daily chart. And if you run your top down analysis from your weekly all the way to your daily, you move on from your daily down to your 30-minute, to your 4 hour, to your 1 hour, to your 30-minute. Then you move down to your 15, 10, and 5. You'll start seeing that there's actually a reversal that's occurring slowly. Now, we want to confirm it, so order flow and tape will tell the story as we move into the day. But these technical levels are important to just lay out the foundation of the trade if it actually sets up, all right? So that is Roku. Now, last but not least, let's send some Tesla in the room. That's actually going to be my main watch at the open, all right? That's why we're sending it last. If you guys are watching Tesla right now, setup's looking a lot better. Again, we're starting to break out of that distribution range between that 620 and 650 finally. Either break over or break under, and we're finally seeing about 2 points over that 650 range, which is really good for Tesla into this morning. Now, if Tesla does set up, if you guys are seeing this pre-market setup and resistance 655, if it rejects 655, which we already saw in the pre-market session, it also tried about 654, rejected that as well. That's totally fine. It's understandable. Then you might not get that momentum trade at the open, which is totally fine. Again, we don't speculate, we react. It's very critical. If it rejects 652 or 650 at the open, we'll start watching the pullback to 646. But that's actually an ideal entry, that 646. I'll be looking for, if Tesla does hold that range, we'll look for entry at that level. Just seeing that was a primary resistance yesterday. Now let's see if we can use it as a support and take off of that level. And again, you can see if it breaks 646, you guys saw the range yesterday it was trading in. We'll pull back to that 640 and potentially 630 for a 10-point drop. And you guys saw yesterday we did have a 30-point push on Tesla to the upside. Excuse me. We did have a push on Tesla to the upside, but we did see overall a lot of choppiness going on. So it's very, very important to know that this has already had a 30-point push yesterday. It's already up almost, give or take, 5 points in the pre-market session. So if it, after an exhaustion move, it needs a pullback. It's understandable. So 646, look for that ideal bounce if it sets up. And if this guy takes out the resistance at 652 or 655, as you can see, we have it 655 to avoid the fakes. But if it takes out 655, confirmation, continuation setup, I'm looking to trade some momentum on this. So I'm not just going to look for the 646 bounce, but I'll step in partial the moment it can close over that 655 for a push to 660 and potentially 666. And we've traded that range before on Tesla, so it's nothing new. All right. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Again, focusing on less is more, especially on days like today. And you can see we have a catalyst on Amazon with Jeff Bezos flying out. Again, if this sets up, totally fine. If this doesn't set up, we're not FOMOing at all in terms of Amazon, and we'll trade it actually second half of the day. Let it do its thing. Let it pull back, break 35.50 to the downside, 35.25. We'll watch the distribution there, and we'll play a bounce trade. And we're just thinking out loud, not saying that that's going to happen, but just more of ready to react if that occurs in terms of a high probability setup. If it bounces, takes off 35.70 at the open, then look for that 35.80. And look for 3600. And again, that's more for seasoned traders to scalp that momentum at the open because it will move a little bit quicker, right? So I hope you guys have have a great day and make some good money today. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me. Let's make some money, team. All right, in and out, guys. Let's make it happen.